Welcome back to Beyond the Spectrum. This is episode 22, and I am Dreem sharing our family's journey with autism. This is part 2 of the last episode. You probably jumped right here so that you wouldn't have to wait any longer for the end of the story. And you might have also noticed that the last episode and this episode doesn't have Mikey's lovely music behind me. And that was a choice that I made because I really wanted this to be unfiltered, just my heart to yours. I know that it's probably going to be the least appreciated, maybe the hardest to absorb. And I just kind of wanted to put it out there so that it would just be the words and no distractions. I don't know if it worked or not. That was my heart and that was my intent. So let's get into the second half of the story. Now we come to the cruise. And when I tell you that we made up for those 8 months of not having gluten, that's putting it mildly. I mean, we went on a gluten fest because it's a cruise and you get to eat whatever you want and you're just having fun. And they have pizzas and they have ice cream with the cones and they have burgers with the buns and they have everything, rolls with dinner and everything that we had been missing out on. Now we were just enjoying it. We weren't really being gluttonous, but we were just enjoying everything that we saw that we wanted to. Hey, yes, I don't have to not have the pie after, for my dessert. Hey, I can have the pizza for lunch, and it was amazing to think about how there's gluten it's the staple of our standard American diet. It's in everything. It's in seasonings. It's in spices. They put it in breading. They put it in soups. And the reason why I know is because going away from gluten and really taking it seriously means you have to look at every label. And now you have to really pull back. And at the time, it was a terrible time to be gluten-free because it was still so new that there were terrible flavors and options that were out there that were really not options. You really just didn't want to have pasta. You didn't want to have the bread. It was easier for you to just eat, chicken, beef, potatoes, all that stuff instead of having the alternatives. The alternatives were outrageously expensive and they weren't even tasty. Now, I will tell you, if you are going to consider doing it, it is the best time for you to do it because there is a plethora of gluten-free options out there. They have come down in price. They're more expensive than the alternatives, but they've come down significantly in price than what they were in the beginning. And there's just a ton of options out there. Warning, warning, when they take out the gluten, they don't take out the carbs. And they certainly don't take away sugar. So I would highly recommend that if you were going to try going gluten-free, you do try naturally going gluten-free. Eat, your meats and your vegetables and your starches that are not gluten, like rice, like corn, although corn may be an issue for you as well. So be cautious, be wise with what you're replacing your gluten with. Maybe you just want to eat vegetables and meats and fruits and all that. Whatever you decide, do what works for your budget, do what works for your family. And maybe this doesn't work for you. I'm not pushing it. I am only telling you what worked for my family. This could not have been a better test. Because when we came back from that cruise, my body exploded in those little dry patches. I didn't know where they came from. And I'm thinking, was it stress? What is this? I haven't had these in forever. And now they're just all these little dry patches everywhere. And the migraines came back with a fury. Micah and I both were struggling significantly. And you know what else I noticed? Now, we are a pretty fun-loving, relaxing, chilled out family. And we had been getting along just fine for 8 months. I mean, we have the normal arguments and feistiness, all of that stuff, but we were pretty much in this really nice lull. When we came back, I remember thinking, why is everyone at each other's throats? Why are we so agitated over nothing? Why are we just snapping and irritable and, oh my gosh. It was literally one of those moments where I thought, okay, first of all, I don't know about the rest of the family, But Micah had no migraines. I had no migraines. I had none of these, whatever they are on my skin. I think maybe eczema. I don't know. Some kind of rash, some kind of dry, I hadn't had those. And now they are back. And now, whether or not there's some other physical symptoms happening, I can tell right now that we are all really irritable and really nasty. And when I said that, they didn't like that. They wanted to go back to gluten. They thought they had passed the test. And I was like, guys, I'm really sorry to tell you that we really need to continue this. And you don't have to believe me, but I am seeing a difference, not only in me and Micah, but in all of us. And you may think, well, I can handle it. And that is your choice. I will tell you right now, I'm the one making the meals, and I am not making meals with gluten. We are going to continue this. If you have to go out and you have to eat, whatever and cheat, hey, that's on you. But in this household, there will be no gluten. We are going to be supportive in this household. And my husband was all for it. He's just like, I know I feel better. And he actually chose to not eat gluten the entire cruise. He set the standard for us. And he was the one that actually didn't eat it because he thought, I'm not going to set us back. And we all should be choosing to stay off. And of course, I was like, heck no. And the kids were like, yay, mommy's not doing it, so we're not doing it either. So when I was saying we're all irritable, it was me and the kids because we were the ones that were home during the day where I was seeing all this. And so he was all for it anyway, because he had decided he was done with it for life anyway. And so, of course, Micah was probably the most devastated because, like I said, he was the one that was most controlled, I think, by gluten. I was probably a very close second. My daughter, who is absolutely amazing, ever since she was a little girl, I kid you not, we would go to, the restaurant and they would hand her the kids menu, and we would just look at each other and laugh and go, whose child is this? She would look at the children's menu and there's the pizza and there's the corn dogs and there's the chicken wings and fries and all this. And she'd say, I'd like the grilled chicken and the rice and the broccoli, please. And I'm not kidding. She was like 3-4 years old and she never liked chocolate milk. She hated soda. So she would literally drink water, and that's what she liked. And it was just incredible. Because she was always naturally healthy. I don't know where that came from, but I'm thrilled that she had it because she was the one that had the least struggle to go into that transition. Our oldest son had a very hard time, just like I did, but we decided that this is what we were going to do as a family. And it was absolutely incredible to watch what happened in the following years with Micah's mind. Now, maybe you would say you have no proof that this is the reason. You're right. I have no proof. All I can tell you is we did this, and the next few years were such an incredible burst of pushing through some of the social aspects, the complexities of language, the understanding that he had. All of a sudden, he started to understand things on a totally new level. And if there was any kind of measurement of brain fog and being lifted, oh my goodness, that fog, he was out of it. I mean, he was so in the clear, and it was incredible. And you know what I wished at that moment? I wished that when he was 3, before they had that hold really on their heart. I mean, a 3-year-old still has the things that they like, and it's still difficult to break them, but it's not that hard because you can start changing their diet without them knowing that you're really taking away. You can start adding in things so that they don't have that really strong struggle. But I wish that I had gone back then and I had implemented it back then, because it would have given us, I think, years in advance to make those leaps early on. Now, we still made them and I still saw the benefits. But I do wonder, had we started that early, would that have made a significant difference? I don't know. All I can tell you is I don't know if it will hurt you to try. I really don't. I don't know. I can't, please talk to your doctor, all of that stuff. But do understand that not every doctor believes this. Not every doctor is going to support this. So be careful with, not every nutritionist is going to support this. I have seen that a lot more functional medicine doctors, integrative health doctors that are medically trained in the West, but also have that Eastern kind of holistic mind, are a lot more supportive of this. As a matter of fact, they will be the ones to tell you, if you're having issues, let's start with what you're putting into your body. Let's look at eliminating things and seeing what clears up naturally before we start adding in, medicines and treatments. So again, the reason why I didn't want to do this is because I know a lot of people out there are like, my doctor would never steer me wrong, and I believe my doctor. Hey, I'm not trying to take your doctor away from you. I'm not trying to say that, he or she is a liar and they want what's bad. All I'm telling you is you are your own best advocate, and you should do the research. You should look into what makes you naturally feel healthier by what you're putting into your body, because that is what we are feeding, not just ourselves, but the beneficial bacteria in our gut, which have a lot to do with our immunity and the way that we respond and the way that we're resilient and the way that we communicate with the world because of the way that our guts are communicating with our brain. Definitely do the research and see what you find out. See what experiments you can do safely with the help and support of the people around you, and see what you come up with. I wish that we had done it sooner. And I will tell you this, because this is brilliant. I shared this with Sam, who I've mentioned earlier in this podcast. She also has a child on the spectrum. She also has a son who had migraines. And both boys were struggling, but she didn't think they were connected. I told her our story, and she said, I can't believe this is coming right now at this time. I have to tell my husband. She did. They were all in for it. Let's go. Let's try. The migraine stopped for the older son. And what happened with the younger son was so brilliant that I shared this with other people, because I thought he hit the nail on the head. And it's just so wonderful. It's an example of the things that happen when you have these thoughts and feelings inside your mind, but you can't communicate it. And then all of a sudden, the fog lifts and the communication skills come into play, and now you can express yourself. And she said to him, after weeks of observing him and hearing from the school, that all of a sudden, things that he wasn't able to do, he now is. Subjects that he struggled with, now he's not. Now he's doing things that he's never done before. And they wanted to know, what is going on at home? What is happening? And so she kind of comes to him and asks him, do you feel differently now that we're not eating? Like, has anything changed? And he said, do you know how when your ears are filled with wax and then you finally get them cleared and you can hear again? That's what it feels like inside my brain. Tell me that that doesn't just sell you on it all. I thought that was great. That's all for today. I'll see you tomorrow.